Are we live, Nat?
Yeah,
we're live. Okay, second time. No one needs to know about the first time. Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster of MUFC. Sorry, we're a couple of minutes late. Not too sure what happened there. Joined by Natalie again. How are you keeping, Nat?
Yeah, I'm good, John. Thanks for having me on. Well, thanks, for All For United always for coming on and doing this show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's been a good week for United women's fans. Andy, welcome to the show, mate. How are you keeping?
Not so bad. Getting on with it in the current situation. It's good to have some football to watch and some people to talk about it with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why I enjoyed so much as well. Definitely, especially coming from where I live. There's a few United supporters, of course, as there is up and down all parts of the country. But the amount of detail that I want to talk about, a lot of our friends that I work with, they'll talk about the game, but they won't talk about much more. So at least this allows us to have a bit more interaction with fans who've got similar interests. Just get the comments open. Hello, everybody in the comments already. John Fry, MGive19, Marty from the US. Thank you, Marty. And Sophie. Hello, Sophie. Before we get cracking on the Aston Villa game, just want to have a massive thank you and shout out to all the people who have supported us on the channel so far. I've lost track of the amount of shows that we've done, but we've been going every week now for about 3 months. And we've built up a small community. We get at least 200 views each week on every show that we do. And they're coming from all over the world. We're getting people from India who stay up until midnight to watch us. We get people from America who support Preston Heath. They're watching. We've got Jackie fans from Netherlands. We've got people up and down the country. I've got a friend in Israel that's watching us who's going to be on the show at some point as well. And all this has led to us deciding that we're going to do 2 shows a week. So as of this weekend, the demand is there. Me and Ben's been speaking about it. Me and Nat spoke about it, and we was wondering, is the demand there? And the fact that we've constantly got 40 odd people watching at the moment. I know that might drop a little bit, but we've constantly got 20 people watching throughout every live show. And it's just fantastic. And as a bit of a thank you to you guys who want to watch it, I'm happy doing it. Natalie's happy doing it. We're going to do a show that will go out on a Monday as well. It will be pre-recorded. So every Sunday, me, Natalie, and 2 others. It'll be the same 2 other people. We're not going to name names just yet. We'll have a bit of a surprise on the first show. We're going to pre-record a match reaction show every Sunday, and that will go out to you guys every Monday as well. So thank you to Ben on All For United for allowing us the second show. We really do appreciate it, and I know he knows that we appreciate it as well. So massive news for us. Natalie, your thoughts on the second women's show on the United channel?
Yeah, I'm so happy to Ben. But obviously, like you said, John, the numbers there, people were on it. People have that appetite for that women's team now, and just for me, I know Andy was there at the start. It was just a couple of us at LSV at the start. It was 5,000, but then it was just that regular few, and you could never, ever, ever find content on his team. And slowly, different channels have got involved. Barmy Army obviously set up. It does live match reactions, live match everything. Barmy Army podcast on Wednesday. I want you guys, if you are watching here now, I want you guys to always check out the Barmy Army podcast as well. But, for a show like All For United, so many followers, keeps growing. For someone like Ben to put his faith in us and allow us a second show to talk about this girls team shows just where we're going, where we want to be. Man United changing the face of women's football forever. It's not about men or women. It's about this club, and this club is going places with Casey Stoney, and yeah.
Nat, I don't know if you're breaking up. Andy, can you hear Natalie okay? There we go, she's gone. I understand what Nat was about to say though there, because it is true that the demand is there, and maybe it's like 2.5 years ago the demand wasn't there as such, but now what Casey's done with the team and what results Man United have had so far, it's definitely putting women's football on the map. What Manchester United have done. Andy, just where did you start then with the Man United women's team at the beginning, I guess?
Yeah, I was a United season ticket holder for 21 years and a league match ticket book before that, and then I stopped watching the men a full year before the women's team formed because of messing about with seats, and they were moving us and charging us the extra prices and stuff. And I got sick of I accepted how it was in men's football. They're a business. I just got sick of them being a business first. So I stopped going, and of course I missed it, but I was still a bit bitter enough to not miss it too much. I started trying to watch the women's football show a couple of times, and when you've not got a team, it's just not the same. So it didn't really work out. I just couldn't get into it. And then they announced the United women's team, and I thought it was brilliant. And then when it was at LSV, because I'm from 2 miles from LSV, it was. I mean, I know some of the Manchester lot were hoping for a move into closer to Manchester, but it suits me perfect. So it would have been crazy not to go. And then after that first match, well, the first match was the away one at Liverpool. So I took my little girl to that, and I found myself. I was watching it, I was enjoying it, and then when they scored that goal late on and Lizzie Arnott put the winner in, the reaction I didn't expect it, and it was like, wow, I really care about this.
Yeah.
And from then on, I had a look at the season ticket, and 39 quid for a season ticket, that's less than a game and a half at Old Trafford. So I got the season ticket and never looked back. And then I heard Natalie before I saw her, and then saw people start grouping together and a bit of noise being made. So that just brought the experience that of football into the women's game, and it was just perfect from then on.
I thoroughly agree. I mean, I started watching it on MUTV during the first season. I then joined Twitter and started to watch a bit of YouTube. I come across Natalie and the Barmy Army on YouTube in the start of 2019 when I started to do a bit of research on the women's team, and there wasn't much out there at that point. But as you said, when we score a goal, I cheer just as much as a men's team, and that's when I know I'm really enjoying this. And then you start to learn more about the players, and you get loyal to the players, and before you know it, Natalie's back, and before you know it, they're just part of your life, aren't they?
Yeah. That first game, you don't know any of the players, and it seems a bit daunting. But within a couple of games, you recognise the names, you latch onto favourites, and it becomes it's strange because that group of players, Casey Stoney could have been assigned a manager of a new team under any name and assemble that group of players. But once that badge is on the shirt, it just gives you something to connect to, and it didn't take long to connect to it.
That's it, yeah. Nat, we were just talking about basically how United women's team, how quickly can you just get hooked on them. We didn't know the players before they joined Man United because we weren't like massive women's football fans, but as soon as you start getting loyal to those players, there's just no way back, is there? You're hooked. Can you hear us, Nat? She's on mute. Let's see if I can just jump in the private chat. Bear with me 1 second, guys. So, Andy, what was your thoughts on the Villa game then? So, obviously, going into the game, you must have been confident. I predicted maybe like a 3 or 4-0, I think. Natalie went a bit higher than that. I mean, was your expectations up that high, or was you being a bit more conservative?
It's a strange one because, one of the first memories again is that first league game away at Villa where it was 12-0, but it's an entirely different team now. And I think with a lot of teams in women's football can change a lot over the course of a season. Teams that were average one season are challengers the next. So you never really know what to expect. And from what I've seen of Villa, they're gaining a bit of fight. They're not an easy team that you think when you think back to that first match. So I expected us to be comfortable, but nothing too extravagant. And I think that's kind of what we saw.
Yeah, I agree. I think we was well, we'll discuss it like when Nat comes back on. Here we are, Nat. Can you hear us, Nat?
Yeah, I should be all right now.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Yeah, no worries, mate.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's going to happen to me one day, and then the whole stream will go down. So don't worry about it. Nat, we just talk about Villa. Obviously, we was confident going into the game. I know I predicted maybe like a 3 or 4, maybe 5 tops. I think you went for a little bit more than that. Obviously, it was 2-0. I think we was dominant in possession and we created chances. It was just lack of clinicalness, if that's the word.
Yeah, and I was a bit upset. I went with 8, like John said. It's because Villa had scored 6. I mean, not Villa. Everton had scored 6. You know, when you see Chelsea scoring a lot of goals, and you think if you want to be up there, I mean, I know this video is serious title contenders. When you want to be up there as serious title contenders, I do think you do need that. I mean, we've got the 3 points. That's what matters. I just want to say, you still hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks to Ben, because I know it broke out, and I just think we've gone from no one reporting on women's football to Barmy Army sporadically when we were at grounds. Well, not sporadically, we did it. We're the only ones who did it, and now there's 3 Barmy Army and 2 on air regular podcasts, and it was in a space of a couple of years this has happened. And you know, these guys who tune in every week, like you said before, just it's a great thing. And the people who are watching at home and watching the girls, and like Andy said, getting to love from wherever you are, you know, it's great to see for them, because that's all we want them to get the support they deserve.
I think that's my aim all along, really, just putting it out there, just giving Man United fans the option. If you're not into women's football, not a problem, but you are into Man United, so at least just give it a go. And that's what I did. I come across on the men's game, and you would have heard this story loads of times because I do mention it. So, but I come across on the men's game, and for me, it's just another Man United team to get behind. Yeah. Back to the Villa match, Andy. Tooney and LJ, loads of chances. Any standout performances for yourself during that match, Andy?
I think, just looking at the goal scorers, I think it's the main thing is that I noticed was we've still got some of those originals from that first season in the Championship. Now second season in WSL, and look at that. We've got 2 World Cup winners on the squad, but our 2 goal scorers in that game were girls that were there from the beginning. I think it's more of a general view of it's even though the squad has changed, it's still got that same identity, that same fight from the people that have been there from the beginning and brought us up to WSL. And
that was the same as the Arsenal game, the goal, Nat. I think Amy Turner did a ball tackle, taken up with Jess passing it to, was it Tooney? Yeah, it was Tooney. I think I might have missed it.
Yeah, I think it was LJ who passed it to Jess, who then passed it to Tooney back of the net. And, you know, Andy saying Leah and Tooney, you know, names on the score sheet, names that potentially people thought wouldn't be, not us, because I think we've always rated our, you know, the OG21, everyone knows, you know, that original squad, we always rated them really highly. And I think a lot of people put down girls like Amy Turner, Leah Galton, Jess Sixworth, and it's a credit. They are a credit to this club. People like that, you know, Ella Toon, just smashing it now. Doesn't matter who we've got in. Jackie Cronin, World Cup final, Preston Heath, World Cup winners. Doesn't matter. Ella Toon from Tilsley is the one that everyone's talking about, and it's just great to see. I love it. Onto Reading, innit?
Yeah. Well, you speak about Ella Toon there. She's doing something special, you know, keeping Katie Zellum and Jackie Cronin, you know, one of them will always be missing, because in my eyes, Ella Toon's probably one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment. I think I could be right in saying that she's our top goal scorer in all competitions this season as well. I mean, that's an amazing achievement for, okay, she's an attacking midfielder, but she's a midfielder. And when you consider the other attackers who are in our team, Toon is up there holding her own, and we knew she could do it, and she's carrying on doing it. Andy, your thoughts on Ella Toon this season? Remarkable season she's having. Yeah,
exactly that. You could probably swap our whole midfield one game to the next and still have a strong team. But you know, we've got a lot of depth in that area, and that she's still holding her own and sticking at it, and you know, she's not like local girl getting it, sticking in there and just holding on. She's holding her own.
Yeah, and she is, and we always speak highly of her on this show because we just know how hard she's worked for it, and she's not had it handed to her on a plate. She's worked really hard for it, and she's been brought in gradually over the course of the 2 seasons, and she's succeeding every time she's on the pitch. One person who she is up against, so to speak, in the centre of the park is Jackie. Just wanted to speak a little bit about Jackie Ronan. She's my player of the season so far, if I'm honest. I know everyone's got kind of like a different player of the season, but I think we'd probably all agree that Jackie's probably in our top 3. She went off injured. Nat, I don't know if you've heard anything, if she's going to be out for this game or what, I don't know. Yeah. How much of a big miss is Jackie when Jackie's not playing at the moment, Nat?
She creates everything. As far as I'm aware, she is likely to be out because it's concussion, and the protocol says you're not going to play. Not heard anything concrete. I think there's a press conference coming up, or stuff's going to come out tomorrow. I don't know, but that will be brought up. Everyone's been talking about it today, but we missed Jackie last weekend. I see a comment, and it's true. It all goes through her. I think it would have been a lot better with Jackie on, but it is what it is. She's got Zellum in there, she's got Staniforth in there, and it's these players now. It's their turn. We're talking about OG21, Katie Zellum. I'd like to see her play versus Reading. And someone said about the handball last year, that was disgrace. But it's time for us to take it out of the referee's hands and go out there and win it. In the end, Villa was comfortable 2-0, but I want us to go out there and win it. I don't want us to be conceding goals. I just want us to, take a 1 or 2-0 every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right, mate. That's right. Thanks for all the comments. We've got quite a few coming in. Thank you very much. I believe I saw Nan Martin in the comments. Is it 12? I'm sure it's 12 o'clock where Nan Martin is now. I'm sure she dropped me a message on Twitter saying it'll be midnight when she's watching. So if it is, thank you for joining in. Just go. Yeah, thank you very much. Does Casey give a health report? I don't think she actually names players as such, but there is always like an interview. Is it like the day before that goes on the Twitter, and you do see it on the Man United Women's Twitter feed, a 5-minute interview where she'll name a couple of players, but she doesn't always give too much away. But I do like them videos. I don't know if you've ever seen them, Andy. Do you follow the official Twitter account? Do you get to see those interviews?
I do follow it, but most of my news comes from the Barmy Army account, to be honest.
Just retweet it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're great interviews because we don't get to see too much during that. So, 5 minutes a week from Casey, it means so much to us, does it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the club can do a lot better. I think we can hear a lot more. I think Jackie's name will be dropped because it has been the talking point, and she's such a key player that I think people need to know if she's going to be playing or not. I think people want to know if Press is going to be playing a lot or not. I know we were talking about, the American fans, they've been bombarding every tweet. Where's Press? Where's Press? Is she back? Is she back? And so I think we're going to find out if she is back. But, it's more content, because I know I said at the start, there was no content, and now 3 podcasts. The account's doing longer interviews with the manager. That's what we need. That's what people want. That appetite is there for this team. Get it gone. Get it going.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about them 3 podcasts, guys. It's not just check yourselves 3. We've got like smaller channels who do their own thing. So I'm sure David Pritch, when he get back to the stadium, I'm sure he'll do some videos on the women's team. Matt Johnson, who's been on this channel, he does videos, and I know that he promotes the Barmy Army through some written work as well. There is content out there now compared to when I was learning about it like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So yeah, just find it. It's just know where to find it, isn't it? But of course, having 2 shows on this channel and the Barmy Army channel, those are going to be obviously your main ones at the moment. 2 a.m. Nan Martin says so. Thank you for joining in, guys. A lot of talk about Katie Zellum. Will she play over Jackie this week? Probably, and that's not a bad thing. Our captain coming back And we said a couple of 3 weeks ago, it's so hard for Kate to get back into the team now because Ella and Jackie's doing so well. But Andy, how great would it be to get Katie back on that score sheet with a free kick or penalty?
It's another sign of the depth, isn't it, that our captain's not in the team. But even when she's in bad games, you get a free kick, you're pretty sure it's going to go in. So it would be nice to see.
Natalie, we don't speak too much about Katie because she's not played as many games as she did last season. With COVID and with Ella Toon stepping up and Jackie as well. But the secret, it's quietly, she goes under the radar in my opinion. She's a real hard worker. When she comes on off the bench, she puts a shift in. I don't think it's anything against Katie at all. I think it's just the fact that Ella stepped up and Jackie's doing so well as well.
Yeah, I think she's underrated. I think, like you say, she might not score the goals from like open play and stuff, and she's not, how can you say, like the first one to like whip a ball in and all this, but it's just she's like that pivot in the midfield, and she picks up the ball from deep and after the defenders, and then plays it forward for the attackers. Like that pre-assist, that's how I always describe it. She'll be the one before the winger puts the ball in the box, and that's why I think people don't see what she does as much. And then, like you say, it's free kicks. I mean, I don't know if Andy was there. I think he was. It was Charlton at home in the first season, and she scored that rocket from outside the box.
Yeah.
And that's what we get when I suppose you're playing her as a 10, because I think she's playing 10 that day, and I think she had more freedom to go forward. Whereas now it's like you say, she's in that pivot, she's in that deep midfield, and she's taking the ball after the defenders and playing it out and spreading it wide. And then people are looking, Tobin assist. Yeah, but think about the person before Tobin. But that's that's my difference.
It's not just creativity either with Katie, because she's tough. She gets stuck in.
Yeah.
She's a tough battling midfielder, and then when she gets it, she's comfortable on the ball and can find a pass as well. So she's, wherever you play her in midfield, you're going to get a good turn.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So you put her alongside Harley Ladd. You can see why our defence was so good last season, because they spent a lot of time together last season. And Jackie will run her heart out and get stuck in, and she gets a lot of injuries anyway, like balls to the face and everything. The amount of time I've seen Jackie go down with a minor injury is probably more than anybody else. So, those together, it's a great combination. I want to interact with the guys who are leaving comments, so thank you. Is Press okay? I read that she was like under the weather. That was more of a cold than an injury. But I don't know if that's definite. That's just what I read on Twitter. But
yeah, that's the case. We're gonna, like I said, tomorrow, keep your eyes on the socials, because I think some things are gonna come out and say. At the minute, I don't know. I'm just waiting as much as anyone, and if I did, I'd let you know straight away. So just
absolutely. Yeah. Welcome back, Marie. Thank you for joining in. Got a nice compliment there, Nat.
Thank you.
Brown Knight back. What did I miss? So yeah, just a quick recap after 25 minutes. Basically, we've just announced that we're going to be doing 2 shows a week, which is great. So Mondays, you'll get to see me, Nat, and 2 other people giving a bit of a reaction show from the game on the weekend. So that was a starting point. And also I just spoke about how dominant I guess we were against Aston Villa, but just not clinical enough. Just to kind of draw a line under the Aston Villa game, Andy, if you had to kind of summarise that Aston Villa game, how would you summarise it?
I think, like you've said, dominant, not clinical. It's a game that if we'd have conceded a couple of chances that would have gone in, could have been a different story, but we got the goals in the end.
Yeah. Nat, would you agree with that?
Yeah, she does. It's pinged the balls.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who say if it was against Man City, Chelsea and Arsenal, we would have lost that game or whatever. I disagree with that, to be honest, because I'll tell you why. One, you can only play the team that's in front of you, so you set out your game plan to play Aston Villa, and we won. And when we did play City, Chelsea, and Arsenal, we didn't lose against them, did we? So I think it's very easy to kind of say, oh, if it was against a better team, we would have lost. And you know what, maybe we would have done, but you can only play the team that's in front of you. And, you know, we wasn't necessarily at our best on the finishing side. We could have scored a bit more. But I think all in all, we're still sitting pretty. If we win every game 2-0, and if we dominate a game like that, at least we can enjoy the fact that we don't need to worry about conceding up the other end and we're just creating chances. So for me, it's another enjoyable game to watch. We'll talk about the Reading game that we've got towards the end of the show, but the title of this show is Are We Title Contenders? So just before we go into that question, there was a tweet on my Twitter today. Someone called Graham put a tweet out asking me, are there going to be any transfers to help us push for that title shot? I know that Natalie, we mentioned this a couple of times on the trot, so we don't want to mention it too much, but because Graham asked, I just think it would be nice to highlight it. We don't know of any transfers or anything like that. That's all close to our chest. But let's just bring Andy in what his thoughts are. Would you like to see anybody join the club in January? If so, what kind of positions would you be looking at?
I think it's always, if the players are available, then it's daft not to strengthen. But if you look at our squad now and our performance now, then you know we're comfortable. We've got strength in depth. We've got high quality all over the pitch. So I don't think I'd want a particular position strengthened. If there's a player there that would improve us, sure, go for it. But the squad we've got, we've shown we've played the other of the so-called big four, if we're counting us in that now. We're unbeaten. We were delighted with the Chelsea draw. It was our first game of the season, and it showed that we are now in that bracket instead of in the just below. We beat Arsenal, and then by the time we played City, it's disappointing not to beat them at that point of the season. So I don't think I would say we need to strengthen here or there. I think if somebody's there available, sure, but there's no need to go out and search.
Yeah, I agree with that. Nat, just to put a kind of different spin on it then, just to save you repeating the same kind of question, is there anyone who you think could potentially go out on loan in January? And I'll kind of put you on the spot there, but it's a bit like a loan, you know, who might need a bit.
It's all right. It's sort of come out. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but I'm not breaking any news here. Lotta, she's not really playing a lot. She didn't really even play the cup game that I remember. Sorry. So, and there was a little rumour going on that she might go to Gothenburg or somewhere back in Sweden. I don't think anyone would say, you know, Lotta, she's been good, but she's not really had her chances. And then the games that she has played, she's been all right, but you know, she probably expected to be playing a lot more. I don't know whether Casey expected more from her. I don't know, but there's just talks that she might be going in January. It's either going to be January or summer, I think. So we'll have to see around that. Casey obviously said a lot, like, I don't like to strengthen in January. And I think it's only if, like what Andy says, someone comes up who's special. I mean, I don't like to say Nate. Well, I don't even care anyway, because I know people like to hear, and people ask me as well, John. There was a name. She plays for the US women's national team. So if anyone knows about the US women's national team, I know we have a lot of American. It was Emily Sonnet, and that came out that she's got an offer from England. And then obviously, as I go and do my digging. It's not us, but she is a player that, if we were interested, it's not a club that's in the top three like us. It's a club below us. So for me, you know, she can play centre back. She can play right back. It's interesting. And I'm sure if potentially we went in, then that other team, she might not look at that other team. She might look at us. So, but I'm not Casey. I'm not going to say she might think it might upset the rhythm. You know, it is what it is. If we go for it, we go for it. It's highly likely that we won't. I think we're going to hear some stuff more, maybe. Like I said, the press conference is tomorrow that she's speaking to the people. So you'll hear, hopefully, what she says about transfers.
Yeah, and it's something as a football fan, transfers is part of the game, isn't it? I know you love it. And I love it. I love the rumour. I don't believe every rumour, of course. I don't believe everything I read. but it's part and parcel, isn't it? Especially in the close season. But moving on to that question, are we title contenders? I've always been very reserved. I know, Nat, you're the opposite. But, you know, like the first 2 or 3 games, Andy, you know, we got off to such a great start. Did you, from the get-go, start thinking, okay, we got a chance to win this league? Or was you a bit more like me, thinking, okay, no, I'm still happy with top 3. If we get top 3, I'll be really happy. Or are you now really thinking to yourself, we got a good chance here of taking this league?
I think before the season started, it was a case of getting in the top 3, knocking any of those 2 teams out of the top 3 and taking the place would be progress. And progress is all you can ask for. But on only asking for that, we've been given so much more because, you know, we're not top of the league after a freak run of games. We're unbeaten. We've beat one of the top teams, drawn with the other 2. And last season, when we narrowly got beat by those top teams, even though they were close games, you could tell they were superior to us. We put up a good game, but you could tell they were better than us. This season, that's changed. We're in those games. We're comfortable in those games now. We're not just keeping up. We're setting the pace. You know, we're as good as them now on our day. And as long as we can keep the consistency that we've had so far, of course, we're contenders.
100%, yeah. And just touching on something that you said there about us being unbeaten, one of my questions was going to be, do you think we could go through the whole season unbeaten, or is that just going to be too much of an ask? Even if it's just draws, you know, do you reckon we could? Can you see us getting beat, Andy?
I think it's likely to be somebody outside the traditional top 3 that's going to beat us. That's the United way. It'll be somebody down the bottom that'll beat us on a day where we start thinking maybe we can do it, maybe we can go the whole season, and then just one day things will go wrong and we'll get shocked. Because as a United, you're used to that now. We always lose a last game here and there, and why should the women's team be any different?
Yeah, that's what's going to get me, Andy. That's what's going to get me. I think I was saying after the Spurs game, we're going to win the league, and I think it's because we played Chelsea and we did so well, and it was without press, Heath, Roos, it was without all these, and then I thought, wow, they came in, they did so well, and this and that, and I knew we were going to beat Arsenal. I just knew it. Arsenal are weak. Arsenal are like the men's team, you know, they just crumble. Put a bit of pressure on them, they crumble. This is the women's team now. So I knew we were going to beat Arsenal. And then obviously we beat them, we went top, and I thought, bang, that's it, right, we've arrived. And now, watching the Villa game and knowing that we've got Reading coming up without Jackie, it's just, like you're saying, it's going to be someone like, well, Bristol, they beat us at the start of the year. I mean, they could easily beat us at the end, and look at where they are. They can't, for love nor money, get a goal. And that's what's going to be so frustrating for me. I think it's the fact that we played so well against that top 3. And I think it's a mentality. And even Casey says our downfall is going to come from complacency. And I believe it. And I just hope, you know, it's maybe because we've not won it before. We've not, you know, been in this position a lot. I mean, the Championship, we just cruised it. It wasn't even, you know, hard. Whereas this is actually grafting week in, week out. Any team can beat anyone else. And, you know, we could go unbeaten and still potentially lose the league, you know. If we start getting a few draws, you can't really do that in this league. I think we've gone from wanting top 3 to, you know, hoping, but off, you know, this is what I mean, as long as we're a bit closer to now. For me, it's going to sound so harsh on them, but if we don't get top 3, it's a failure. And that, not a failure, because I don't like that word, but, you know, it's not what we expect. And
it's a lack of progress if we don't get top 3 this season.
Yeah.
And progress is
what we had.
We've progressed every season so far, so top 3 is the next step.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree, and the good thing is we've put ourselves in a good position to get that progress, haven't we? Unfortunately, with the Conti Cup not going our way, that cup, you know, we can't really get that cup. If you turn around and says we get top 4, we close the gap on the top 3, and we get silverware, then it's not too bad because we've got the silverware. Obviously, now we're relying on the FA Cup to get that silverware. So yeah, it is. It's like I say, it's still borderline. It's not. It all depends on the end of the season. You it's okay being top at the moment, but unless if we're there or thereabouts towards the end of the season, then it wouldn't be seen as progress, would it? You talk about losing to the smaller teams like we did last season. We have got strength in depth now. I think one of the reasons why we lost to the weaker teams last season is because not just complacency, but I just think that maybe the players were getting tired, we were getting found out, we weren't rotating enough, or where we did rotate, the players who was brought in maybe weren't good enough. Whereas now I think we have got that stronger squad. So I'm still feeling quite confident that with the strength in depth that we have got, with all these big players that have hardly even played, talk about LJ and Jess and Hansen, who has played, but I mean she might not be first choice. This is still a great squad to put out against like your Readings and your Bristols and your Birminghams. Natalie, who do you think is going to be our toughest opponent in the remaining fixtures?
Definitely this one on Sunday. I've seen a comment there, Brown Knight, physical side. They are very physical. They like to go direct. There's going to be a lot of crosses into the box. There's going to be a lot of long balls. I mean, anyone who's not really watched Reading or don't know a lot about them, and, I don't like comparing it to men, but say it's like a Stoke-ish kind of team, but they're very well organised. Stoke, Bolton, back in the day, very well organised thing. 2 banks of 4. They're not very fast. So I think if we can get them on a counter or run at them, then we'll be all right. But I can see them sitting back and then pushing forward, trying to get some free kicks, trying to get corners and potentially punishing us that way. But yeah, I'm really nervous for this game. I mean, Bristol, it's one of them, might just be our bogey team, if we're not on form, if we get complacent versus Bristol, that'll be it. Whereas this one, it'll be more, Reading will stick it on us and, we won't be able to handle their game plan kind of thing if they do beat us or if they don't get a point. They've drawn their last 4 games, Reading, and they've not played easy sides. They played Everton, big side. They played City, big side. So they're on a drawing run, but it's against big teams and they're taking points off these teams. So we need to be really, really on it.
Yeah, we do, especially with Chelsea having that game in hand as well. So if they win their game in hand, their goal difference is probably going to be better than ours, because one thing that we complained about a little bit last week is that we haven't gone and beat a team 6, 7, 8-0 yet. And I know that's a bit extreme, but the other top 3 teams can do that, where we haven't kind of showed that just yet. Is Jackie definitely out for tomorrow? I think it means Sunday. I'm
pretty sure.
He's looking. Yeah. I want to read out the remaining fixtures in months, so just to kind of gauge where we could potentially be and what's going to be a difficult month, what could be a potentially easy month. If things go well, could we, settle come March, April in a good position? So I just want to read them all out. I think there's about 14 games left. So January, we've got Everton, Chelsea, and Birmingham. So I think Everton and Chelsea, that could be 2 real tough. Yeah. And then Birmingham at home. Now, I don't want to just turn around and say, Birmingham's an easy game. I get that. That's not what this is about. I just want to try and break it down a little bit. But Everton, Chelsea, Birmingham, I think if we can come away with that with another 7 points, that would be an achievement. February, just the 2 games. Reading at home and City away. So that's, it's going to be tight.
That for me, I'm not sure. And Andy, you can come in, tell me what you think. But for me, that February, that could be a time when you're thinking, let's get 6 points there, because that's going to cement what we want. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of City fans before we even played them at home were saying, if we don't win this, then we're out of the top 3. I mean, they got a point, but they're coming back, so I think they're getting into a bit of form. So for me, I think if we get in February 6 points, we can be saying potentially, that's our aims. We're achieving our aims now. We're basically there. I mean, what do you think, Andy?
Absolutely, I think that also depends on momentum from January, because I think Chelsea are going to be looking at us and thinking, after that draw and the way we celebrated it, which totally justified to me. It was our first game this season and the first time we've held our own against a team like that in a league game. And they're going to be thinking, going to show these this time. We're not having that again. So if we can hold them to a draw, even, I think it would really frustrate them. If we could beat them, we're going to be flying. If we go January unbeaten, then going into Feb, as it gets closer to the end of the season, that's going to be on our minds, and hopefully the mentality isn't that it's pressure, it's that it's an incentive to keep that unbeaten run.
What do you think of City this season, Andy? I mean, was you kind of if we was going to break into that top three, was City the team that you was going to expect to leapfrog against, or would it be like another team?
I think both as league positioning goes and as head-to-heads, I think City are the team that we've always had the best shout against. Even before this season, City are the team that we've beaten in the cup. We've always held our own more against City. We've shown more against City than the others, I think. Against Arsenal and Chelsea, we looked like the inferior team, whereas against City, we looked a lot more equal. So I think they were always the most vulnerable. Yeah,
I've said that all along as well. I wasn't impressed with City last season when we played them, and even more so this season. So yeah, I can agree with that. And you saying that as well, Nat, about if we can get 6 points from there, that would be fantastic. And I agree with that. Potentially, I think that coming into March, if we do get points off those the big three there, that only leaves Arsenal left to play in the remaining fixtures, and by then we will be on a good run, and who knows, so going into March we could really be leading the pack, obviously if things go our way. Going into March, Villa at home, Arsenal away, and then West Ham at home. So again, two matches that we should be looking at getting 6 points from. Arsenal away, I mean, if we're top of the league and we go to Boreham Wood, and we know how important that will be. I mean, Nat, how amazing would that be if we can go there?
And I mean, I know I've seen people saying when the fans are back now, sort of in England. It's just waiting on the restrictions for Manchester to get lowered. Hopefully it'll be soon. But I think by then, hopefully, I mean, I'm not no scientist, but March, April, it should be, everyone should be going. We should be going home and away by then, hopefully. Because it's not big numbers like Old Trafford, it's not 10,000 Manchester fans travelling down to London. It's just going to be, a few of us. But I think when the girls talk about Boreham Wood, and when we played them once there in our very first season, and the way that we're close to the pitch, that's when they said that it was the best atmosphere, because they really could feel the fans, because we're basically touching their opposition goalkeeper. That's how close it is, in women's football. And I think we really got under the Arsenal players' skins in that game, even though they were the better side than us. They we were making a noise. We were, letting them know that even when we're in the Championship, this is Man United. So if we go there top of the table, oh my God, the place, John, it'll be rocking. And I know more people want to turn up. Make it even better.
Quickly tell people how they can come down with the Barmy Army. So if obviously fans are allowed back and come March, everything, hopefully, fingers crossed, will be back to normal. Hopefully, if fans want to travel down with the Barmy Army, how can they go about doing that?
Well, get in touch with the Barmy Army Travel. That's what it's called. It's a separate account. I mean, I know we always tag the Barmy Army on there, and tag me, but the Barmy Army Travel it's not been very active, because obviously we've all been locked down. But usually, when we're traveling home and away, that account pops up and starts telling you and says book on now, and that's all it is. Just drop them a message and say, it's not myself who runs it. So people always say, Natalie, can I come with you? And I'm like, I don't know, because it's someone else. It's not me running it. It's not me. But it's a simple price. It's really cheap. I think it's more competitive than a train. If you wanted to get a train or anything, no, it's cheaper than that. We go down together, we come back together. It's better. We have people coming from, different places just to come up and travel with us to then travel back down to wherever they live, because it is. I mean, Andy's been on it. Andy's been on the Barmy bus one game, and I can't remember what happened. We picked you up, Andy, or what? But why was it? Was it good travel? I don't want to say it. You let the people know.
it's brilliant. I mean, following the men's team, I've been on minibuses to Wembley and stuff, and away days on the train. And for the number of fans that travel away, the train is just a train journey, but the bus, it's proper away travel. You wouldn't know whether you're in men's football or women's football. It's proper away travel, and it's fans that have been around the block following football. It's you're on a trip, and when you're traveling with the other fans, it's the atmosphere starts as soon as you leave your house. You don't have to get to the ground to get the atmosphere; it's there all the way through.
Yeah, definitely. I think I actually paid for a ticket to go to the Arsenal game before it was called off last season, so that's the one that I'm kind of looking forward to that away day the most. That's kind of the one that I missed last season, with the season coming shorter. Going into the final 2 months, April, Brighton away, Spurs at home. Both winnable, especially if we're top of the league by that point. If we know that we only have to win the last 4 games, and it's like the old days under Sir Alex Ferguson. Win the last 4 games and that's it. Bristol away, Everton at home. It's in our hands. If we can get to Arsenal, top of the league, I know it's a long way away, 3 months. I get it. But if we can get to Arsenal, top of the league, knowing full well, a point against Arsenal, and then win the last 4 or 5, then it will be game on, won't it?
Got my heart racing. My heart's racing for it already. My legs are shaking, just thinking, bloody hell, I see a lot of people saying, the girls love it when the Barmy Army back. I love it. I just don't want to put that pressure on them to win the league. I mean, just imagine winning at home. That's what I think. Just that last day feeling, and it's like a memory. It's like a distance. You were at that Lewes game, weren't you, Andy? I don't know if you were, John, but when they lifted the trophy, when they all came out. Oh, it was fantastic. And to go back to that, it's amazing. That's why, I love the men, I love the women. But the women, it's just that little extra bit that just makes me love them. And they love us and we love them. And it's that bond, I think, that makes me just love them even more. Win the league against Willie Kirk, that'll be fantastic.
That's what it is. It is that connection with the women's game, because it's so much smaller in volume. You can see the players fighting for it. They're not being paid millions. That's always comes into it with the men. That's always a focus on people. But with the women's game, you can't even claim that. It's all about the football. They've fought to play football, never mind to get high up in the game. They've played football when girls didn't play football. It's becoming more popular now, but when most of today's players were 5-6 years old, girls didn't play football. A lot of them didn't have teams to play for. So they've fought for it from that age just to play, and now they're in positions that they're in, fighting for trophies. So that's part of the connection as well.
Nat, you said something there about letting us down. Trust me, this is just a show talking about, are we title contenders? If you say to me now, we'll finish 3rd, it means that we're in Europe. As Andy said, it's progression again. We'll be over the moon with that. Well, I will be. Yes, it might be a bit of a towards the end of the season, you might feel as a disappointment. But then when you look at the season as a whole, if we finish 3rd, that's a success. And that's sometimes what you just have to think. You have to take a step back every now and again. But like I say, I'm taking it 1 month at a time. And if we can get to Boreham Wood, knowing that a draw would keep us top of that league, that would be absolutely amazing. And that's definitely a game that I'm looking forward to. And that's in March, that is. So I need to make sure that I've got a week off work for that one. I've had a poll a couple of days ago, or maybe even yesterday, just to kind of gauge the idea of Twitter fans. The Twitter fans think that we're title contenders. 76% said yes. 24% says no. So basically 3 and 4 football fans. I'm guessing they're more Man United fans because I've got Man United fans on my Twitter. But they believe it. They believe that we could actually go and compete for this title. Nat, 2 years ago, when you was at LSV, when we was playing in the Championship, 3 out of 4 fans saying that we can win a WSL halfway through last season. That's amazing. How far have we come now?
I know, man. It was always this. Casey always talked about a 5-year plan. And I suppose 5-year plan did involve potentially winning the league in year 3. But I think last year you know, the way she speaks, the way she says, be patient. And I think still be patient because she's right. You know, you don't want to say it because if it doesn't happen and you don't want to be disappointed. I know you said disappointed, but I won't be disappointed because where we are now, what we're doing, it's like beyond my wildest dreams. So I never thought we'd be here. And she always plays it down. She always says, you know, no, we're not in a title race. If you asked her, she'd be that one third saying no. She probably voted no just to boost the numbers. She probably sent other players on to vote no just to have it, you know, not to get it carried away. And, you know, I just think this season is just like one of the most special seasons for us, everything we've done so far. And it's just a shame we can't be there. And yeah, Casey's so special. All the girls are so special. And I've seen that you put it on breaking news. It doesn't involve us. We're elite football, so we don't include the steps 3 to 6. We're step 1. So we are waiting to go into tier 2, guys, because Manchester's tier 3. So once we go into tier 2, which is they're hopeful on Wednesday, they will announce Greater Manchester is tier 2. It means that Old Trafford and LSV can open to 2,000 fans.
Cool. Yeah, literally, since we've been doing this podcast, I've always been reserved. I've been thinking to myself, okay, top 3 is more than good enough. And Natalie, you've been the one that's saying, yeah, let's go for the title, let's go for the title. But I can see week by week, we keep chipping away at it, and we're still up there, aren't we? And you can see why I'm getting excited. But as you say, we shouldn't get carried away, and we're not getting carried away. But we're top of the league. Why can't we talk about it? Why can't we're playing well? Even when we don't play well, we're still winning. And this is what it's all about, isn't it? So it's absolutely okay to get carried away. And the final thoughts on before we move on to the Reading preview. Can you see us as these contenders? Then can you see us really pushing right to the final whistle?
Yeah, I think one thing about Nat's view is if Nat's playing it down, you know she thinks it's real. when we were in the championship, she was saying we're going to win WSL. So now that she's saying, "Oh, I don't know, we don't want to get carried away," you know she thinks it's a possibility now. But I think one of the things that I like about this season is a couple of months ago I was on the Barmy Army podcast before Press and Heath had played, and we were talking about. Deb was talking about the crawl, walk, run, and what if Press and Heath gives us a massive jump, and then when they go, what then? What kind of squad have we got? But I think we've proved, like we talked about, the goal scorers against Villa were originals. I think the way that we've used the 2 Americans is that we've benefited from them, but we haven't depended on them.
Yeah,
I think that gives me hope, that gives me confidence for the longevity of this kind of form. We're not just being dragged along by these 2 World Cup winners that we've signed. They're supplementing a very good squad. So I think that gives us a lot of hope for not just this season, but beyond that as well.
And I think that's brilliant. We benefited from them, but we haven't depended on them. And I think that's absolutely right. That's a good little phrase, that is. Yeah, absolutely. You
can say that again in future. tweet it if you want.
I'll put your name on it. Yeah, Andy says this. Guys, we've got 5 minutes to talk about the Reading game, and I know that we've spoken about it a little bit. Let's talk about the starting 11s. Let's talk about it potentially being a banana skin. Who would you like to see play? Give a predicted a scoreline or something. Start off with yourself there, Nat. So obviously Jackie possibly won't play with what's gone on. Hansen was injured against Scotland. She might be available to play. Is this a game for maybe Jess instead of Press? What are your thoughts here, Nat?
Me, I'm going to go Zellum in midfield for Katie. I will go Press for me, just because of the way she played versus the Netherlands. I think we saw her sort of at, her best form coming back in. I mean, I don't think we've seen the best of Kristen Press. We have seen the best of Tobin Eve, but we haven't seen the best of Kristen Press, and she said it herself when she was back with the US women's national team. She needs to start scoring. I think she was on the verge versus, she did score for the US versus Holland. It was ruled out. But I think she'll want to come in and start scoring for us as well. And I think, I mean, it all depends how ill she was, how this. I don't know what Jess's injury was, knock or what, but, you know, I'd play press and Zelen for me in the midfield.
Andy, what are your thoughts on the starting lineup?
I think I'm torn on Lauren James. I like seeing her come off the bench. I think at the minute, I think it's good to see her introduced to a game for a bit of impact rather than starting. I'm a huge fan of hers, but I think she's in a kind of stage where she needs managing well. Zelen we've talked about already, with Jackie probably out. It's a chance for Zelen to shine again. You know, we haven't seen a lot of her this season, but she's got it. You put her in, and we've talked about them being a physical team. Zelen's one of them players that will get stuck in and handle that. And as club captain, you know, she can lead the team in that kind of fight, and also provide the creativity that'll help us get forward as well. So I think that's a key one. I think Zelen in the middle with anybody else, and you've got a good chance.
Yeah, I agree with those midfield three. Natalie, the back five, would you keep as is? Ona, Amy, Millie, Kirsty, and Mary in goal?
Yeah, I think, you know, Smithy, Kirsty Smith, come back. You know, it was a bit not shaky, but, you know, just getting back into that team. I think Leah's done so well at left back that it's like, oi, like someone new's in now. But no, I keep Smithy in because for me, Leah has to be pushed up further forward. And she did really well, Leah, as well. I do think what everyone's saying, 3-1, 2-0. Yeah, I want a 2-0 because I just want us to have a clean sheet. I think if we keep a clean sheet against Reading, with the way that they're going to play against us, they're going to be very direct, very physical. I think it's going to say a lot about this team to do that, and I'm excited for what's going to happen on Sunday. Excited and nervous.
Yeah, I say 2-0 as well. I watched some of the highlights of the previous game where Hansen scored and Jess scored, and I just thought that was a great game. I did one that I really enjoyed because one, I'm a huge fan of Kirsty Hansen anyway, so for her to get that goal to open it up as 1-0, I thought was brilliant. But then a typical Jess goal, I call it a typical Jess goal where we've got space behind the defenders to run into. So maybe Jess can come off the bench if we 1-0 up, where Reading have to push up a little bit and catch them on the counter attack. Yeah. So I'm probably going to go for 2-0 as well. Andy, score prediction for yourself?
I'll go 3-0.
I'd like that a lot. Oi, 4-0. I'd like that even more. Well, anything nil, 1-0, I'd even take. You know, I just want, I suppose, a nil now.
Guys, come towards the end of the show. Just if you missed the beginning of the show, basically, me and Nat have agreed with All For United, Ben, who runs All For United, that we're going to do 2 shows in a week. So it's going to be a pre-recorded show, but please come and watch it and support us the same way that you have been doing. I can see the numbers today that's constantly watching. It's amazing. Thank you everybody who's hitting that like button. It really does help. It shows that you want us to continue talking about the women's team on a United channel. It does mean a lot to us. So we'll be next on your screens on Monday. It's going to be, like I say, a pre-recorded show, but it'll be a match reaction show every Monday. So thank you to all you guys for keep on watching. It means a lot. Andy, if someone wants to find you and talk about the women's team, how can they get in touch with you on social media?
I'm on Twitter. I think it's SL8R7. That's Slater7. So yeah, Twitter's the main place.
Thank you, Andy. You can find me on John Foster MUFC on Twitter. Natalie, yourself, and the Barmy Army podcast, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, check it out in the name, Natalie17. But you know, definitely see me Barmy Army MUWFC, doing podcasts, doing Christmas shout outs, doing advent calendars. We've got a lot of merch as well, so check out our Teespring link. You know, just any way you want to support the women's team, even if it's just, you know, buying a little badge or something, you know, because we've got lots of stuff, and hopefully everyone's gonna, you know, Wednesday will know. You know, everyone watches on Monday, and then Wednesday we'll know we're back in the grounds and then you can see Slater, you can see me, you can see John. We'll all be together again, and I can't wait.
100%. And when we do go back to the grounds, tune into that Barmy Army fan cams, tune into the Sunday or Monday show that we'll be doing as well. There's going to be so much. Instead of just looking at these squares, you can actually see the stadium. We'll be at the stadium. We're going to make it as exciting for you guys as possible, especially for you guys who live abroad who can't come to the stadium. And for those guys who are in the comments who do want to come to the stadium, just drop us a message. You can stand next to us and actually speak to us in person. This is what it's all about. We're gradually getting a bit closer. So thank you, everybody, guys. Andy, thank you very much for coming on. We do appreciate it. It's been good to chat to you as well, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
See you, Natalie, on Sunday night for the pre-record.
Yeah. Can't wait. Thanks a lot, John. See you later, guys.
See you guys. Bye-bye.